Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the voice of college football. I'm here, as always, with my fantastic co-host, Gabriel Pickup. We've got a great episode for you here tonight. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to talk about two things tonight. We're going to have some updates for you, and then we're going to talk about predictions for 2025, particularly individual game statistics for each game of the season. Gabe, let's get right into it. So you got some updates for us. What's going on?
Yeah, I have a bit of a peculiar update that it could be something big. It could be something not so big. So Mohamed Touré, our starting wide linebacker, obviously there's two wide linebackers, but he's the number one priority when it comes to wide linebackers. He posted a very strange deleted tweet, and it was screenshotted and restoried by @Rutgers_superfan on Instagram. So it appeared that he was announcing retirement from football. And you tell me what you think when you hear these words. I have the tweet here. He says, quote, "These past few years have been a blessing through all the ups and downs. You helped guide me, not just in football, but in life. You helped me grow into a man, and I'm forever grateful for the lessons you," and then I put in brackets, "taught me," because it appeared that there was a typo, "over the years. Thank you for everything, coach." And he had a heart emoji. And then he says, "Uno out," walking guy emoji. And the picture was his, Coach Gregory Schiano. And I think your cat has something to say about that, but I'll let you go about it first.
Yeah, when my cat meows like that, my cat's onto something. And here's the thing. I think what that tweet said was, I'm transferring. But when the tweet is withdrawn, it means he had second thoughts and is in a period of indecision right now.
Yeah.
And probably, I would guess that maybe the coaches saw that tweet and got a hold of him right away and said, hold on. So I think right now it's probably a 50-50 proposition, whether he goes into the portal, whether he leaves Rutgers. But it doesn't bode well for Rutgers that a starting linebacker is having these thoughts when at linebacker we need depth, when we need talent. So that would be a big loss for us.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you think that he maybe posted that tweet before talking to coaches? Because,
yes.
I mean, that would be a hell of a way for someone to find out that one of their top defensive players is either transferring or retiring from football.
My instinct is that it was an impulsive decision.
Yeah.
That he was probably thinking about, his place at Rutgers, his future.
And he saw all of his guys leave last year, or rather in the winter. So
yeah, maybe in a moment of emotion or impulsivity, he writes that tweet, and then either he's like, wait a second, people are going to see this. There's going to be a lot of backlash. Or the coaches got a hold of him and said, whoa, let's put the brakes on this and let's talk. And I think the fact that he deleted the tweet suggests to me that he's probably getting reined back in and is probably going to stay with Rutgers at the end of the day. But let's hope if he stays, he's got that same level of commitment and passion that we're going to need for a linebacking core that's going to be essential for the success of that defense.
Yeah, I mean – here's the thing, right? He's played with us for 4 years now. He has one more year of eligibility, and he just saw his whole team on his side of the football leave either via the transfer portal or to declare for the draft in, December, January, what have you. How's it going, Austin? Pleasure to talk to you last week and talk to you or listen to you talk on Jackson's show right after that obnoxious guy before you, if you know, you know. But anyways, going back to this, it really just seems to me that, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about, he doesn't like the program. I agree with you. He didn't see his fit. And maybe he's starting to see it more. But it's definitely been on his mind since at least the offseason began.
Yeah, and the problem is when you think or overthink things sometimes, it leads to an impulsive decision. And social media makes it so easy to just throw out your thoughts there. And I think either he regretted it, and that's why he deleted it, or the coaches gave him some perspective that made him rethink his decision. Hopefully it's a decision to stay at Rutgers for what we hope is going to be a great season. Any more updates for us?
Yeah, and initially, it seemed like he knew something we didn't about Coach Schiano, because it was all about thank you, Coach Shiano. You've helped me a lot. I'll never forget that. But then it insinuated retirement from football or transfer, and that's just common sense. And at the very least, it presents uncertainty, in his last year of eligibility with us, but he has had 176 total tackles for us, 13 and a half sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 INTs. I mean, this guy is a Scarlet Knight. He bleeds Scarlet Red, and it would be a shame to see him go. But, either way, I wouldn't necessarily lose respect for him like you would with maybe a Jalen Matthews or another freshman if he transferred right away.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to move on unless you had something else to say.
Well, I would say to him and other players who are thinking about their futures, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. In fact, it often isn't. If you're part of a program that values you, focus on making value for yourself, getting to that next level, and developing the skills going to help you succeed in life.
Yeah.
But I do have one surprise update that I made myself.
Okay.
And this goes out to Ethan Kaliakmanis. Ethan, you are officially disinvited to the show. As of 7:06 p.m. on April 21st, 2025, you are officially disinvited to the show because of not responding to our repeated invitations. Having said that,
I have some breaking news here from Adam Schefter. Wow, that's crazy.
That's close enough.
He's on my contacts, didn't you know? No, not Adam Schefter, but I got some breaking news from Gabriel Pickup. I am starting my own Rutgers football channel, and Ethan, you can come on anytime.
Ethan, you are disinvited to the show. Of course, Mr. Sheffield, you're always welcome. But Ethan, I'm going to tell you this. We love you, and we support you, and we want you to make it to the next level.
Yes.
So when you decide that you want to come on to the best Rutgers show there is out there, we will certainly welcome you. But the invitation for the time being has been withdrawn. However, we're still in your corner.
And, speaking of Ethan Callie.
Don't start your own Rutgers channel. All of a sudden, the second things get difficult, you abandon me. I'm upset.
Yeah, bro. I'm just trying to transfer somewhere that respects me a little more. The portal doesn't close till Saturday. I might follow suit. It's a new age. We can we don't like something, we can just go somewhere else and avoid the struggle. Listen,
I'll give you a free Bon Jovi CD. All right, you'll be fine.
Fine. I'll enjoy that. My mom will too. And Sports Talk with Adam. I'm getting my A's confused here. Sports Talk with Austin says Ethan Kaliakmanis will win Best Big Ten Quarterback Award. That's a very bold thing to say because of the conference that we're in, right? I'll be happy if he is top 5 in the Big Ten quarterback rankings. That's where I had him coming into next year's top 5. So we'll see.
KJ Duff, you are invited onto this show.
All right.
Ian Strong, you are invited. Ethan, you are disinvited until further notice. But we're going to be in your corner every step of the way, despite not coming on the show earlier. And when you do finally come on, it's going to be a great time. Go Scarlet Knights.
Yes, sir. And moving on here, we have one more guy entering the portal since we last spoke on Thursday. And, Gabe Winovich, he entered yesterday, sophomore this upcoming year, went to Notre Dame High School in Jersey, never played a snap. He wasn't even on the depth chart either. We have 5 running backs listed, and he is not one of them. But good luck wherever you go, bro. Thank you for choosing Rutgers. I understand why he wants to go somewhere else. The kid has NFL dreams, so go somewhere where you can play, man. I'll always support someone that chose Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, that's true. But what I will say is this: going to Rutgers special place, guys, gives you a great education, great athletic program, and it kind of develops the whole person that's going to help you when that football career ends and have a successful life.
Yes.
So, Gabe, without further ado, shall we go into our second segment?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get right into it.
All right. Now, in previous shows, we talked about, what's the record going to be for Rutgers this upcoming year? Today, we're not going to talk about whether they're going to win or lose. We're going to predict the individual player statistics for the major players on that Rutgers offense in each of the 12 games. And I suspect Gabe and I will disagree on a few, but it should be a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Gabe, we're going to start off here with Ohio, the opening game of the season, Ohio, in Piscataway. I've got a prediction about how Ethan's going to perform, but let's start with you.
So I was just laughing at Austin's comment because KFC sponsors.
Gabe's not going anywhere. He's staying right here with me. Enough of this nonsense.
Ah, man. So I originally wrote for this first game 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, but I'm getting a little more confident about that game. Now, I don't think Adam gives Ohio enough respect for their end of the year last year. They went on a 7-game winning streak, and they're a respectable football team.
Oh,
They are a very respectable football team, okay? They're at
Mhm.
least above average, and you have to give them that.
who did they beat? The University of Ireland?
I mean, it's D1 competition, right? There's only 134 schools that have a football team. There's a lot more that have basketball and baseball teams. So, with that being said, I respect Ohio, but I went from 246 yards to 317. That's just a number that feels right to me. I originally said that we might struggle and lose that game, but I'm changing my prediction to a 29-28 win. We won't make predictions for every team because we already did that, but I am changing that one. And Ethan is going to have himself a week 1. DT is going to get himself 108 and 2 TDs, and it's going to be a great game.
Well, I think that is terribly disrespectful to Mr. Sheffield. His name is TD Sheffield, and he's going to lead the Scarlet Knights in touchdowns. I'm not too far away from you on this one. In all seriousness, Ohio is a respectable team. I've got Ethan Kaliakmanis going 17 of 27 for 218 yards in this game with 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for Rutgers' first win. And I've got Antoine Raymond going over 100 yards.
Ooh, okay. See, I kind of think the running backs will be like split even between him and CJ. And you can even throw Jay Sean getting maybe 4 or 5 carries himself. Yeah, I mean, I think they all get around 40, 50 yards. Maybe Jay Sean gets like 25 or 30.
You might be right on that one. Now, we have to stay in the state of Ohio, of course.
Yeah.
Miami of Ohio. I always get concerned about teams that are named after cities that are in a different state. Miami is in Florida. No, we have Miami of Ohio. I think Miami of Ohio is actually going to give Rutgers a competitive game.
I do not.
You do not.
No.
I think it's going to be. I think Rutgers pulls it out. I think Ethan goes 16 of 29 for 239 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. I think this is the game where CJ Campbell goes over 100 yards.
See, I just don't believe they have great pass rushing, really. And I think that he's going to have a lot of time in the pocket and a lot of ways to get out of the pocket if need be. So I have him similar. I have him going for 230, getting a touchdown, no picks, and I have him rushing for 80.
Awesome.
It's going to be a game. It's going to be a running game. But when he does have the option to pass, I think he'll have a few seconds to really think about it. And that's why, even though he's going to get that 230, I think he'll do it in a high percentage.
I'm with you. I think you're right on there. So why don't you take the next game, because I'm still suspicious that this school even has a football team, but you can handle it. There's Norfolk State. Have you ever heard of Norfolk State?
I have, but I've only heard of them because of March Madness. They were in March Madness, and they didn't look great, but there was a guy from Rider University that played, so all of us Rider fans. Yeah, it was me. It was actually me. This is just a side gig. I play in March Madness every year. I have infinite.
He was a Rider grad, a proud graduate of that great New Jersey school.
Oh, just fantastic, and totally not bankrupt within the next 10 years. But I think it's going to be an ugly blowout. I mean, not loss, by the way, win. I'm talking we might shut them out because we have a good defense. You know, Muhammad, I'm really hoping you stay with us because you're going to be a starter no matter what. You're going to be a leader, and these guys respect your seniority. They respect that you've been here for 4 years. If you do stay, I have you getting a forced fumble and a fumble recovery and possibly going a distance with it. Okay, so look, my prediction for this, and we all get one outlandish prediction, right? 1 or 2 per year. I'm saying 38-0. I don't think they're scoring a thing, and I think we're scoring 38 on them.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. Muhammad, grow up, would you? Grow up. All right. You go on social media with this tweet, then immediately you're deleting it. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Stay off social media. Relax. The grass ain't greener on the other side. Stay with Rutgers. We want you here.
You're going to scare off everyone we try to get on, man.
That's right. That's right. Hey, look. At some point, it's like you don't want to come on. We don't want you on. We're not going to be the ugly. We're not going to be the ugly girl to dance. So now, Gabe, here's the turning point.
Okay. Don't say we're losing.
Home against Iowa. Game 4.
That's going to be crucial.
That's going to be the game of the year. And as far as Norfolk State, I had Callie Kamanis going 15 of 20 for 312 yards with 4 TDs, no interceptions. But Iowa comes in with an Iowa defense.
Yeah.
They're going to be hungry, and it's going to be kind of like that Nebraska game. Are we going to turn in the right direction or the wrong direction? I'm predicting Rutgers' first loss of the season, 19-13. Callie Kamanis, 14 of 29 for 188 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception.
Yeah, I mean, I want to believe that Callie Kamanis has taken this huge leap forward. But, I mean, when you look at him historically, his accuracy has been up and down. And against a tough defense like that, it's going to be a struggle for him. I'm going the same thing around that 14 of 30, rather, passing. I don't think he's getting any touchdowns. I think it's going to be 1 special teams touchdown and 1 rushing. And I think he's going to get an interception too. And I think we're going to lose. I think like 14 to, like 20 or 24. If it's within a good range, I'll take it. I want to see.
Why don't we go to Piscataway together for that one? Because I'll be in New Jersey. Let's go, Root. Yeah. And let's have an episode right outside of Shea Stadium because
maybe we can get some media passes for it.
Yeah, and that game could turn around Rutgers' season. They can win the game.
Yeah.
Will they? At this point, I'm not so sure. But then after that, we go on the road for the first time against PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is Minnesota is a lot better of a program than I've previously anticipated. If we win against Iowa 13-3, that would be a very ugly but appreciated win, Austin. But with Minnesota, I think we're going to lose that game too, unfortunately. I have it at 27-30. They're very good at staying in games, and given our terrible luck last year, I can really see Minnesota having a last-minute comeback, throwing a nice touchdown, giving us our heartbreak, the yearly Illinois game, if you will, 27-30. And I think that it's going to be an Ethan game. He's going to have a good game. I think 278 yards sounds good. 3 touchdowns sounds good. An INT. And I think he'll have a good 30, 40 yards rushing. The issue is that he's going to be scoring quick, and Minnesota's going to take a long time downfield, and they're going to score every time. So I think they're just going to outlast us, and whoever has the ball last wins. I think Minnesota will have the ball last.
Yeah, well, that's a great analysis. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Minnesota wins at 26-23. I've got Ethan going 19 of 37 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, he's going to have some great games. I think he's going to make some great strides. I don't think it's going to happen against Minnesota. That's Rutgers' second loss of the season, in my view.
I agree. And we're taking a little bit more of a realistic approach here, aren't we? Because last time we both predicted 10-3 for different reasons.
Yeah, and after studying the program and thinking a lot about it, especially given the next game that's coming up. Now, I spent a few days in Seattle several years ago. Very nice, very hilly, but very nice. They had the best macaroni and cheese I ever had at a place called Vaughn's. Well, Rutgers is going to have to fly out to Seattle, Washington, 6-hour flight against the Huskies. And you know what? Washington Huskies Stadium is deceptively loud. Beautiful place to play, loud place to play, hostile place to play. I think Rutgers loses this one by a touchdown, 27-20. Ethan goes 15 of 30 for 178 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth about this one. I don't want to admit that we'll lose this game because you go down the schedule, it's a tough schedule. And if you say we're losing against Minnesota and Washington, then what's our luck going to be against Oregon, against Illinois, not in the same tier, but gave us a fight last year and won, against Maryland, and then obviously Ohio State and Penn State. And because of that, I think we're going to give our all here because we're 2-2. And at 2-2, you're not necessarily out of the playoffs. You're very unlikely to be in the playoffs, but you're Coach Shiano, right? And everyone on board is going to instill in these guys that you got to go undefeated to make the playoffs, and a win starts this week. I think we're going to win this one because of our coaching, lighting a fire under these guys' asses, and we're going to win 30-24, a little role reversal of the Minnesota game, if you will. With Ethan, he might struggle. I think he's going to get around 178, 180, going to get a touchdown, 2 INTs. He might run for 60, 70 yards, though. And that running committee, I think CJ is going to take a big leap that game, and he might go for 115, 120.
I hope you're right. If so, Rutgers would still only be at 2 losses with a 4-2 record. And then they come back to Shea Stadium and beautiful Piscataway to face those Ducks.
Yeah.
Who are going to be
today. No green.
No green today. Thank God. It ain't easy being green, I got to tell you. But those Ducks are going to be looking to quack in Piscataway. Look, I've thought about it, and I've come to the conclusion that Oregon's got too much firepower.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got Oregon winning this game 37-24. Ethan goes 22 of 41 for 277 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. The running backs all average under 3 yards a carry.
3, oof. So you're saying we're putting up 24 somehow with that production from Ethan and the running backs?
Yeah, we'll put up 17 and get a late garbage score to make it 24.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with the Ethan stats, and we are going to lose that one. I'm hoping it's close in the third quarter, and with like one of those fighters' chances in the fourth quarter. Obviously, it's college football; anything can happen. They're not quite Ohio State, but they're going to be a playoff team, and it's just a matter of where in the playoffs. I think we're going to lose that game 30 to about 17.
That's a fair prediction. Well, I'll tell you, I lived for 4 years in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and not too far from there is West Lafayette, Indiana, and the Purdue Boilermakers. I think Rutgers goes on the road to West Lafayette and pulls out a win against an engineering school. And I think Ethan has a really efficient game, one of his best of the year. I think he goes 20 of 29 for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, I think he puts on a display.
I
think over 300 yards, and he might have his most touchdown passes of the year. I'm saying 4. He might have 4. I mean, he might have a 6 touchdown game for all we know, but I'm saying he has 4 that game.
Yeah. And you know what? Ethan's going to have some games this year where you're going to walk away saying, this guy's NFL material.
Yeah.
The question is how consistent he's going to be, but in this game, I think he shines.
I mean, both Adam and I will say at some point come the fall that he is an NFL caliber quarterback, and both of us will say at some point this guy will never come close to the NFL. So, I mean,
he's
that's
got the tools, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All I would say is go back to the USC game of last year. In the third quarter, he threw a dart into coverage. That was an NFL throw, and it's like sometimes you don't need so much quantity to evaluate a player when they have plays of such high quality. And he showed he has the tools. Whether he's going to be consistent and sustain that, we'll see. But I'll tell you something, Gabe. I don't have good thoughts about the next week after that. Going to Champaign, Illinois, another city named after a drink. Champaign, Illinois. Illinois is going to have a great team this year. I think it's too much for Rutgers. I think Rutgers loses this one 30-21. Ethan goes 18 of 31 for 206 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
I think both of us said last predictions episode that we would win this game, and I think now both of us are saying we're going to lose. I think last episode we let our emotions and the pure rage of the heartbreaking year that was get to us. And it's going to be a similar loss. We're going to stay in it, and it's going to be somewhat of a battle on offense. But, I mean, they got a lot of good transfers, especially in the winter, and I'm saying it's going to be around 24-30. I think Ethan's going to play fine, maybe 180 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, maybe 2 interceptions, and
Yeah.
he'll get some rushing yards this game too. But we're not going to win. I'm not going to say we're not going to win. I don't think we're going to win. It's definitely a game we can win, and if we have enough emotion going into that game, we will win. But who's to say we have enough emotion when most of the defense isn't there and most of the top guys on offense aren't there?
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I'll tell you, on the heels of that loss, the city of Baltimore has never impressed me. I'll tell you why. Because there's nothing really great that happens there. There's a few good things, and that's it. But that college from Baltimore, Maryland, is going to come to Shea Stadium. I think Rutgers comes out with a big victory here, 34-17 over the Maryland Terrapins. And here, I think Ethan goes 26 of 40 for 260 yards with 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Did your cat just say meow or no?
It said, "I love you, Adam. You are the best," and I tend to agree.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. I just wasn't sure.
Wasn't speaking to you, Ethan.
I'm going to clip that and say Adam's message to Ethan and post it on our YouTube. I'm going to say this. I think this will be Ethan's best all-around game. I'm saying he's going to have a crazy high percentage passing because this is going to be the last chance he gets to put on a lights-out performance before he faces the 2 juggernauts of the Big Ten. So with that being said, he's going to have 26 completions. I agree with you there. But take out that 40 whatever you said and make it 26 of 33. And he was 26 of 33, but 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm thinking, does he get an interception? And the answer is no, he doesn't, because nobody knows what the hell a terrapin is unless you do your research. So
I don't want to do any research upon that. I don't like the name. It makes me feel weird.
I will say terrapin turtles are very cool to look at. The shells are sick. But if you don't feel like doing your research on what a terrapin is, you won't know. But Ethan will know one thing when he gets on that field. All he's going to see, it's not terrapins, it's success. So 26 of 33, 3 touchdowns, big fat donut for interceptions. And we're going to win that one 46-27.
Nah, that's good analysis. All right. Well, I never liked Columbus Day, but I do like Columbus, Ohio, because I went to school there at The Ohio State University. We're going to be going away into the Horseshoe. And I'll tell you something, Ohio State's going to lose some players from last year, but they're still going to be a juggernaut. I think Ohio State takes this game 40-17 over Rutgers. However, I think Rutgers is competitive in the first half. I think Ethan goes 13 of 35 for 162 yards.
Oh, goodness.
162 yards. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now,
man.
I will say this. That 13 of 35 is going to seem deceptive because he's going to make some good throws in the first half. He's going to have a pretty good first half. Rutgers is only going to be down by 7, no more than 10 in the first half. But Ohio State's too much talent, too much depth. They're going to pull away in the second half. So people walk away saying, Rutgers was pretty competitive, but just too much Ohio State.
So you're basically what you're saying is his percentage is going to get screwed because down 21, down 14, 4th and 7, 3rd and 20, he's going to be looking long and missing. Is that what you're saying?
He's going to have to press, and they're going to get predictable because they're going to be behind.
Okay.
And that's never good for a quarterback. So I'm not saying Ethan's going to have a horrible game, but I think the circumstances of the game are going to lend to a low completion percentage.
All right. That's a little more respectable because coming off just saying 13 of 35, that made my jaw drop because that's not a number you see very often.
Well, what game did he have a less than 50% completion percentage last season? I believe it was Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
yeah. I think we're going to be playing a lot closer with Ohio State than a lot of critics will give us justice for.
Right.
Why I say that is because of the guy lined up on Jeremiah Smith. I think Cam Miller, all year he's going to be playing lights out, but this is the game where everyone's going to realize who the F he is because it's going to be on ESPN or NBC, whatever it may be, and everyone's going to be watching Ohio State. and they're going to be saying Jeremiah Smith only has 2 for 18 at half. Who the hell is guarding him? And then they're going to see that guy's name, and they're going to say, oh, the Penn State guy. You know what? I like him. I think he has a good chance in the NFL. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Miller's going to do a fantastic job. But you know what? When you're covering someone like Jeremiah Smith, it only takes a few times to get burned throughout that game. And I think Jeremiah Smith will have his plays.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying he won't. He doesn't have a chance to get 10 for 178, 2 touchdowns. I'm saying the first half, he's going to get 2 for 18, maybe 3 for 27 at most. I'm feeling like that 9 yards per catch ratio is pretty crisp because he's not going to get the deep ball that he wants. But with that being said, down 14-10 at half, and I agree with Adam here. Third quarter, they're going to score 21 on our heads. We're not going to score a thing. And we're going to lose this game 30. I'm saying if it's 35-10 after the third quarter, we're going to take a garbage time touchdown each, and we're going to lose 42-17. And Ethan, he's going to get not 13 for 35. I'm going to say 20 for 45.
And after the game, if you separate into your own show, he's going to come onto my show.
All right. If that's the case, then I'll suck up my pride and admit I was wrong. But I don't see it, man. He's I don't know if this is the right marketing approach or the right pitch to him. You might not necessarily be a salesman. I'm not a salesman, but you're selling yourself at all times, right? And when you're saying to him, look, man, you're not invited. You're not a great quarterback at times. I don't know if that's the right pitch.
I've never said he's not a great quarterback. I've said that he has the potential to play in the NFL, that we support him, we love him, and we want him to be successful. And he's still disinvited, though.
Salty. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in a bad mood today, Ethan.
Well, you know what will make you in a really bad mood? A loss to Penn State at home.
Oh, gosh. I'll tell you something. I've thought about this game. Gabe, listen, I am not a fan of Drew Aller. That interception against Notre Dame, totally inexcusable. Didn't do anything against Ohio State and Happy Valley. But the truth is, Drew Aller is still a good quarterback, and Penn State still has one of the best defenses in the country. I think Penn State wins this game 23-16, and I think Ethan goes 16-36 for 201 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 INTs.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment. I didn't want to admit that we lose to them last time, but we lose to them. But I think we keep it close. I'm saying we lose to them 21-27, and that's a respectable game out of us. I don't even want to say what our final record will be if what we say goes correct. The only game that we have different is the Washington game. But this week, or this last week rather, we're going to lose them 21-27. I think it's going to be a quarterback duel. I'm saying Ethan gets 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that interception is going to be the one that costs us because it's going to be when we have the ball down 6 with 2 minutes to go.
I hope so. I mean, because, Ethan, in all seriousness, we really respect you and we love your talent, and we hope that it's a better season than we're predicting. But as it stands now, I've got Rutgers going 5-7. You've got them 6-6.
Oh, man, I don't like that number, Adam. I had them at 9-3 a few weeks ago.
Yeah, sometimes emotion.
He came on the show, and he was talking about how great this team is, and I was believing him. And I still do believe we can be a great team. And we can win one of those games, 2 of those games, hell, 3 of those games that we said that they were going to lose in.
It's just,
It's just tough for me to say that and still be credible, as like a unbiased source. Obviously,
I mean, we love Rutgers, but we got to be honest. We love Ethan, we love DT, we love the whole team, we love Coach Shiano, of course, but we're just being honest, and we hope we're wrong. But we've got a perspective here from one of our great friends, Austin, who I'm sure has his own opinion that we're going to love to hear. Austin, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to the show, my friend.
You don't have him on yet.
Oh, well, I just added him to the stage, but it's not popping up for some reason.
Yeah, I have him as a. It's not letting me.
Can you put him up?
I hit add to stage. It's not cooperating.
Maybe we're doing it both at the same time.
Oh my God! How do this is crazy. Here, I have.
Austin, we love you, buddy. This is
no setting on him, so it's all you now. Hopefully.
And we got a malfunction here on the show. We got a malfunction at Rutgers, the voice of college football. Like I said, first
That's
time
not a
for
great
everything.
sign for the upcoming year. If we're talking about reeling back our predictions and then we can't get guys in the show here. I hit add to stage and then I hover over his name. I'm going to say remove, add to stage. All right, Austin, if you can hear this, I want you to do a favor, and that is to exit out of this and hop back on and try that link again, my friend. And hopefully it works this time.
Yeah, sorry about that, Austin. We're looking forward to having you on the show.
Yeah, we would love to hear your opinion, man. I'm going to, I guess, kick from studio, right? Because ban would mean you can't come back. I don't know.
And I'll tell you something else, Gabe. You know, you can love Rutgers like we do, but you can still be honest in your constructive criticism. And that's what we're doing. And these players deserve people who are going to be honest and not just kiss their ass and say, oh, we're going to go 10-3 or whatever the case may be, because we want people to know that we're honest and we tell people what we think. And if they disagree, they disagree. But that's what makes the discussion so fun.
Yes, sir. And I just sent Austin a message on good old X, seeing if he would come back on, because that's very strange. I've never seen.
I thought your X account was banned.
Huh?
I thought you got banned.
All right, let's see if it works. No, I did not get banned.
I'm just joking.
You want me to try it? I don't want to.
Yes.
The guru here.
I think we got him.
It's. I hear audio, but I don't see a square. Do you see a square? I heard him. I hear him. I hear him. I hear him. Austin, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, it's not letting the square pop up for some reason, but I can hear you, so I can work with that.
Austin, we're sorry about that technical difficulty, my friend. Welcome to the show.
It's all good. Happy Monday. Just glad to be calling in. Even if I'm on the screen or not, we can still talk Rutgers football. That's not going to stop us.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
But talking about these season predictions, it's always fun, especially here in April when we've still got months and months of stuff to go. Who knows what can happen in the coming months leading up. But I was listening to you all, and this kind of got me thinking. Rutgers has got a pretty difficult schedule ahead of them, more difficult than last year. And it got me thinking, what's going to be the biggest game Rutgers is going to play all year? And I was like, you know what? That Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, those are the three most important games in my opinion. Because if Rutgers can win two of those, it might be enough to get them bowl eligible.
Yeah, I think that whole stretch, right? Iowa, Minnesota, Washington, and then a few weeks down Illinois. I agree. But I think you got to throw Washington in there too. If all goes according to plan, well, not our plan, but the college football gods' plan, we're going to lose Oregon and beat Purdue, both pretty convincingly. So the weeks that precede that, the three that we mentioned, and the Illinois game, those are going to be the games of the year.
Mm-hmm. And the thing, too, is when y'all were predicting stats, I predict in the Iowa game that both Rutgers and Iowa this is going to be a turnover slugfest. It's going to be whoever creates the last turnover wins that ball game, and I think Rutgers will do exactly that. I don't like saying this because I know in the new era, not a lot of people like a defensive slugfest, but I have a feeling Rutgers-Iowa is going to be that way. It's going to be the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl all over again.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a slugfest defensively, and I think it's going to be about 6-3 at the half. My only fear is that at the end of the day, Iowa's going to have just enough offense and just enough defense to stop us and come out with a 19-13 win. But Austin, I think it's the most important game of the year, and I think it's going to be the turning point of the season. Because if we go to 4-0, all right, then we're going to go into Minnesota and Washington with confidence. And if we split, then we're up to 5-1, and we've got a chance at making some real good things happen.
So the only thing that's tricky about our predictions is, once again, we start off hot, and then once again we plateau. Except this time, it wouldn't be due to poor performance. It would be due to schedule inferiority. And, with this Iowa game, we can win that. That's I say that Iowa wins, but I'm saying it's like a 40-60 chance. Like, it's definitely not out of the ballpark. We can win that game. My alternate reality self would have said that we win this game 28-14. It's tied at 14. We get a late turnover and then a pick six, and that's the two winning touchdowns. It's just, if that happens, that would be great. It's just tough because of how insanely good that defense is and how great that is down or up in Iowa.
And I feel like y'all are saying, to me, we always talk about the offensive stat, but the defense is just as important. I feel like this is a game where we're going to find out what Rutgers' defense is really made of. And as you were predicting the stat lines, like I said, this could be a game where Rutgers gets 2 or 3 turnovers because Iowa's offense is sluggish, or maybe they get a fumble on a kickoff return or punt, one of those type things. I think it's going to be one of those games where we see what Rutgers' defense is truly all about. It's a prove-it game.
I think, Austin, you're 100% right, and we got to stay away from injuries in those first 3 games, because if we don't, we don't necessarily have the depth to push us over the top. But if we're injury-free and come in there healthy and hungry, we could beat the Hawkeyes. But right now, I just think that this game is going to be a little bit like the Nebraska game from last year when we lost 14-7, where there's missed opportunities and we come out with a close loss that ultimately was a winnable game.
And the thing, too, is I want to mention this. You're talking about Ethan. I know Adam and Ethan are having their issues at the moment, but what I will say is I think the Illinois game, I think it's going to be Ethan's best game he plays in his career, because here's why. Because I think that what happened last year lives in his head. He maybe put some of that pressure on himself going into that game, saying, I could have done this better. I could have done that. Even though he didn't get a chance to get the ball. But this time I think he's gonna do something like 18 of 30, 4 tutties, no picks. And he's going to convincingly.
You know why I'm not certain about that whole what could I have done better thing? It's because he did enough for the team to win, right? It came down to a boneheaded lapse of judgment in our secondary and our defensive coordinator making a bad read on a 3rd and long in the midfield. He did enough. He had us up late, and if our defense holds overtime, but if they score nothing in that game. So I don't know if he's entirely in his own head about that. And if he is, then he's got to prove to all of us that he has that sort of Mamba mentality.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think about the Illinois game. I think whether we win the Illinois game is going to depend on how we play at home against Oregon. If it's close against Oregon, if it's competitive, it's going to give this team the confidence and the chip on their shoulder that they need to believe that they can win and to go out there and execute in very competitive games. Because I think we're going to beat Purdue. But if we're competitive against Oregon, that's going to be the catalyst that makes us think we can beat anybody. And that's what the mindset we're going to need to go into Illinois and for Cali Mass to have a big game.
I mean, if we beat Oregon, all of a sudden we're top 25, so that would be crazy.
And what I want to say too is this: don't sleep on Purdue, guys, because they have a history of spoiling seasons. Because let's say for example, Rutgers does beat Oregon. Let's say they do, and they're all high and mighty and think, okay, Rutgers is back, and then that's where Purdue gets you. So I am a little optimistic about that game, because that could be a game where it gets sloppy, where Ethan has one of his worst days, or maybe the running backs start fumbling. I could see something like that happening. Hopefully not, but I could see it.
Well, if Rutgers beats Oregon and falls victim to complacency, they have no one to blame but themselves. This is a team that cannot afford to be complacent or to take a day off, even a minute off, because for us to be competitive, we've got to be at the top of our game consistently and sustain it throughout the season. I just don't see it happening this year. I see it happening in 2026. What do you think, Gabe?
I mean, what concerns me about that, and also just my schedule outtake anyway, is I mean, it doesn't matter, right, if you're 6-6 or 5-7, really, other than maybe a bowl invite. But At 6-6, my prediction, and every team has this unless they go undefeated or something. Every team has one underdog win and one crazy upset loss. And I predicted the underdog win would be at Washington, but I never said a upset loss. All of my losses were against teams that are on par with us or better on paper or in rankings. So, Miami of Ohio and Ohio, Norfolk State, Purdue, those are the 4 teams where you need to beat them to be taken seriously. And there's a really good chance that we could lose to one of them. And we probably will lose to one of them because every single team that doesn't go undefeated has a crazy loss and a crazy win.
And I got to say this too. Another big game on the schedule that I think could be a crucial turning point as far as the season goes is Indiana. Not Indiana, but wrong one. It could be Penn State, and here's why. Because what if Rutgers is playing for bowl eligibility, and Penn State's already, say, locked up a spot in the Big Ten title game? Could there be some complacency there? And could we see Rutgers play their best game of the year against Penn State? And what if Drew Aller throws a pick 6 or throws something stupid like Adam always predicts he will? And Rutgers could pull an upset.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I'll tell you something. One thing that makes me think we could beat Penn State, ironically, is if we came into that game with a losing record and weren't in bowl eligibility and therefore had nothing to lose. Because that's when I think Rutgers is going to be at its most dangerous. Because what I noticed this year is that when the critical games happened, Wisconsin, UCLA, Nebraska, the team played tight. They were prone to mistakes. It was like the pressure of the moment got to them. If we go into Penn State with a mistake-prone Drew Aller with nothing to lose, which should be the mindset for every game, and hopefully they can get there, then I think we have a shot to win. But one thing I think that's driven down Gabe's and I's assessment of the season, at least for me, Gabe, has been the press conferences I've seen the last couple of weeks with Coach Schiano and the wide receivers coach. They just don't look inspired.
Yeah.
It's like their coach speak, we're a work in progress, we're working – they don't look like they're excited about the season. They kind of look like they feel like what we're saying, and that's what makes me a little bit concerned.
And you know what else? It's the fact that the more I work with the Voice of College Football and work with other accounts, post other team content, it's the more I realize that every other team is exactly like us with our delusional takes, our good and bad and ugly. And every team has that fan base that would die for its program and make those crazy takes that to them seem rational. So we're not special when we talk about, they're going to go 9-3, but it's just made me realize more like if I tone it back to reality, like that might not even be enough. And I might still be saying 6-6.
And one of the things I want to ask you guys is, talking about Ethan Kaliak-McManus, what's an overall good number, touchdown to interception ratio? What do y'all think?
The whole season, or like per one interception, how many touchdowns?
3-1.
3-1.
Per 2-1. I would say 2-1 or maybe 3-1. And if I'm talking. And that's the thing too, because if Ethan does 3-1, Rutgers is probably going to be a bowl team because they got the talent. I just concerned
from this.
And I'll just say this. Oh, go ahead, Gabe.
I was going to say because like last year he was 18-7, and he had a quarterback rating of 69.3. Nice, 2696 yards. That's a lot of freaking yards, and he only had 1838 at Minnesota. In 2023, 14-9, and the year before that, 3-4. So it's gotten progressively better. If I'm following this linear path, it should have him at about maybe 20, 22, something like that. I'm going to say 22 touchdowns, and then maybe like 6-7 interceptions. So, I mean, because he's improved every year in every category. The only thing
Austin, I think for us to go to a bowl game, what I want to see from Ethan this year, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
For Kobe.
Yeah, I was more on the line of 25-9. Is where I was at.
Austin,
Because the reason why.
Once you're done with
Oh,
this.
go ahead, Gabe.
No, mine's not related to that, so I want to hear what you have to say first.
I was just gonna say 25-9 because you always have those ones that are tipped or not Ethan's ball, and I feel like every quarterback has them, not just Ethan. So I kind of factor those in. I think he'll have 2 or 3 of those where it'll go off someone's hands and it'll be picked. As long as it don't turn into a pick six, you'll be fine. But I feel like you got to factor a couple of those in.
Yeah, I think in order for him to be an NFL-ready quarterback, and this is college, right? Like, you have to have better numbers in college, ideally, than your first few years in the NFL. And the thing is, if he put up that completion percentage in the NFL, he'd get benched quick. So I'm saying he needs to take that completion percentage, bring it up from 54 to around 60 to have a chance to get drafted.
Yeah, and I think with a team like Rutgers, people have to understand there is talent on the team, but the margin for error is much lower than at Ohio State or Texas or in Alabama or Michigan. So they've got to do all the little things right. And what I noticed looking at the highlights from last year is they didn't do the little things right, and those became the big things that cost them.
It's just tough because usually it's little things, but when the little things cost you the game, it's all of a sudden the big things and bigger than every other play previous. But you know what? Little things would be huge, not just for us, but for storylines. If Cam Miller intercepted his good buddy Drew Aller.
Drew Aller is going to throw the ball to the wrong team against Rutgers. He's going to throw it to the wrong team.
That would be something. That would make Adam happy, probably.
I would be jumping for joy.
Yeah. But
I would go to the local steakhouse and order 2 entrees.
But I'll say this too, guys. I'll say this too. The funny thing is, we talk about the quarterbacks, and one of the last things I wanted to get to, you talk about the 4-headed monster running back. Do you all perceive Rucker having a 1,000-yard rusher this year?
I think we have some good, 4.6 yards per carries out of, Benjamin, maybe 4.8 out of Raymond's. And then with CJ, he gets 10, 12 touchdowns. I don't think anyone gets to 1,000. I don't think anyone breaks 800, to be fair with you.
I think that they need to have a 1,000-yard rusher, and here's why. The problem with running backs by committee is that no one running back gets enough carries. Someone is going to separate themselves, and it's going to be either C.J. Campbell or Antoine Raymond.
Yeah.
And what we need is not a running back by committee, but we need a clear front runner, but we also need a great supporting cast, because if you're just running back by committee and every back gets 8 or 9 carries a game, it just doesn't work. You need to have someone who's going to step up. But unlike last year when it was all Monangai, you need to have a top guy and a great supporting cast, which I think is the difference between last year and this year.
The reason why I think that we're not going to get 1,000 this year out of anyone is because this is a transition year at running back, and CJ is listed at starter on 3sports.com. And he's listed at starter because he's a senior and because he finally had his breakout year last year, averaging 5.1 yards per carry, and 844 yards, 11 touchdowns. So I think he's still going to get his touchdowns, and he catches the ball too, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, along with 78, which is impressive. But anyway, I digress. So he's a senior. This is going to be his last year of eligibility, and then he's going to go try to get into the NFL, whether he does or does not. That's not my business. But with Raymond, the sophomore, and he doesn't have to start this year. He doesn't have to have an electric year, but he's preparing himself to be the full-time starter his junior year. So we don't need anyone from the transfer portal, and we don't need to recruit any top-notch running back at freshman. We can focus our energy somewhere else, like keeping the offensive line at its high legacy, which it has been for several years now, or getting some more meat on the bones at defense. We have Eric O'Neill now, but who's to say we don't have anyone pull Mohamed Touré and consider transferring? So I really think that when it comes down to the running back, this is going to be the transfer year between CJ and Raymond.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to that offensive line.
They're
The way
going
you
to
win in the Big Ten is you win in the trenches. That offensive line is going to have to dictate the pace, okay? And those running backs are going to have to be disciplined, hitting those holes, patient and explosive. We've got the talent. Someone's going to emerge. But with this supporting cast, that means that the running backs are going to be consistently fresh and win in the fourth quarter, which is what we need.
Yes.
And
yeah, I'll say this too, guys. The first couple games of the year against Miami of Ohio, I feel like those are the type of games where we're going to find out what type of running back room Rutgers has got. For anyone that does not pay attention like you guys do or say I do as a fan. And this could be their breakout games because a running back could go for 150 or go for 200 in those games. Whereas the Ohio States, the Penn State games, they might be lucky to crack 80.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if any running back gets 60 yards against Ohio State or in Iowa because they're more known for their defense, I'll be happy because and you know, as long as they do it with like more than 3 yards per carry, obviously, because the threshold mathematically is you need 3.3 yards per carry to get a first down. So that would be ideal in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. And last thing I'll say, guys, is this: I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out because I think this year could be truly special for Rutgers, and here's why. Okay. I feel like the Big Ten, player-wise, Rutgers might have some first all Big Ten players. They may have some players up for some awards because as you go down your roster, you've got some guys in like Cam Miller. You've got a guy who I think could be first team all Big Ten defense if he stays healthy. I think
I agree with that.
I think Athik could make a second or third team all Big Ten at quarterback. I think your running backs, I think they have a couple spots. I think Rutgers is going to have a breakout year from a player perspective. I think they're going to have really good stats. Will it translate to wins? We'll find out in the fall.
I hope so, Austin. You know, it's going to be an exciting year because they've got the talent, but we don't know how the season's going to unfold. But one thing that tells me it could go in a positive direction is the culture and mindset of the team. And we saw that with DT Sheffield in his interview. They want to win. They want to win now. And I admire their grit, and I'm rooting for them every step of the way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with that more. And Austin, I wanted to ask you about your Denver Nuggets before you go. How do you think they handled that game one?
Well, to be honest with you, Gabe, I thought we played really bad in the first half. I thought second half we made some adjustments. James Harden getting in foul trouble, I think, really helped the situation. And I think we finally are starting to put it all together. I think now that the playoffs are here, our defense is finally starting to put it together. And David Adelman is doing what Michael Malone couldn't. And I love Coach Malone, always will. He brought us our first title. But he's putting the best five who's playing the best at the moment. And for all the Russell Westbrook negative haters, they could go away now. Russell Westbrook can win a championship with us. For anyone that said he was the problem for the Lakers, for the Clippers, the reason why LeBron couldn't win, they can go away now. They can hush.
The definition
that wasn't the case.
Lowest of lows.
Now, Gabe, you're a Knicks fan, right?
I am, and game two is
I hope they lose.
Hey, that was uncalled for.
No, it wasn't. I hope they lose.
Why?
He doesn't have anything else, Adam. He's a Jets fan.
I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Mets fan. We're finally good, but like, who knows?
Listen, I can help you. Talk to me.
No, I don't need an outlet. I need a Knicks dub.
I'm just joking. I hope the Knicks win. They're. I've always liked the Knicks.
Yes, sir.
But
I hope I see y'all in the finals, Austin.
I hope so too. That'd be a fun matchup. Y'all beat us in the 2 regular season games. But I'll say this: my 9-3 Rutgers prediction. I'm going to change it right now. I'm going 7-5. You've talked me off the ledge, guys. Before I go.
I mean, it's funny. We kind of reeled you up there because you called us crazy, and then we had this sort of biased sway to our thoughts, and we kind of pulled you up there with us, but then we reeled you back down.
Yes, especially Adam. He's very persuasive in the way he says things.
Yeah,
but
he's just got a strong tone of voice. Don't listen to him.
See, the second I get a compliment, you insult me.
Hey, man. Hey,
but
you already have your number one fan, man.
You
Yeah.
know what? If you don't stop, I'm going to disinvite you.
Oh yeah,
You-
then I'm gonna just put you on my show.
yeah, I just gave a KFC sponsorship to come on my show. We're good here, Adam. But
Fair
in all
enough.
seriousness though, guys, thank you for having me on. It's always a joy and a blast on Monday. Go
Yes, sir.
Scarlet Knights and go Nuggets.
Always great having you on, Austin. Thanks so much for being here, my friend.
See you, Austin.
That's Austin. And, Austin, always a superstar caller. We appreciate his great comments and fun discussion, as always. Thanks, Austin. All right. So, Gabe, as we wrap up this show, do you have any final thoughts?
I did want to go over two things, right? We have the spring game coming up, and it's going to be on April 26th in Piscataway, Saturday, that is, at 2 p.m. And I sadly cannot attend it, but it's going to be coinciding with Rutgers Day. The festivals and events are going to go on all day and then end with the spring game. And so it should be a very fun day. Hopefully we get a little more optimism and joy than some of these pressers have been bringing us.
I hope so. And after that spring game, we're going to go live with a complete recap of the game, player performances, and our first glimpse at the 2025 Rutgers football team.
Yep.
Well, Gabe, great show as always. And, we're going to be here live every Monday at 7 p.m. But, always keep watching it because we may go live at other times during the week as news breaks.
I mean, for example, we got a 12 a.m. Saturday. That's the transfer deadline. And so the roster will be set next time we speak unless there is breaking news. And, hopefully there's breaking news that Jalen Matthews stays. But outside of that, I don't know if there will be any news, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll likely see you on Saturday. But as always be here on Monday at 7 p.m. If you like the show, please hit that like and subscribe button. As always, my fantastic co-host Gabriel will pick up with the great commentary. Go Scarlet Knights. We will see you all sooner rather than later.
Adios, amigos.